Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "The will to power is the will to live." And in the hidden corners of some relationships, love slowly gives way to power. What begins as partnership becomes competition. Every gesture is measured, every word weighed, not "how can I give?" but "how do I stay ahead?" This is the silent struggle that many couples don't see, or refuse to see. A battle not for connection, but for control. Carl Jung warned, "Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, love is lacking." But in these relationships, power predominates, not openly, not with shouting or threats, but in subtle ways. Who apologizes first? Who gives in last? Who holds the emotional leverage? And so, the relationship becomes a game where both are trying to win, and both are losing. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." And without realizing it, many couples live this truth. They fear being vulnerable. They fear losing control. So they compete, not for joy, not for growth, but for safety. They think if they hold the upper hand, they won't be hurt. But the price is high. Every act of kindness becomes strategy. Every moment of closeness becomes negotiation. And love, the very thing they sought, slips further away. They smile, they touch, they say the right things. But beneath it, the struggle continues. Who gives more? Who needs less? Who stays in charge? And in this silent battle, intimacy dies. Because true closeness cannot exist where there is no trust. And trust cannot exist where both are trying to win. Inside these couples, a hidden question shapes every interaction. Am I winning or am I losing? It's not spoken, it's felt, in small moments. Who decides where they go? Who controls when they speak, when they touch, when they forgive? Friedrich Nietzsche warned, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." And here, neither obeys themselves. Both obey the fear that if they do not stay ahead, they will fall behind and be hurt. So love becomes a game of leverage, not a dance of connection. Every compliment is measured, every apology delayed, because to yield is to lose ground. And in the struggle for power, both lose the very thing they seek: safety. Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But in these couples, no true reaction happens, only calculation, only defense. They protect themselves so well that they never truly meet." Machiavelli wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." But in these relationships, both wait. Each waits for the other to give first. Each waits for the other to break the pattern, and so nothing changes. They live in a stalemate, both wanting closeness, both fearing surrender. And in the quiet of night, when the struggle pauses, they each wonder, "Why do I feel so alone beside someone I love?" But they do not ask out loud, because to ask would be to admit that the game has failed them. So the game continues, day after day, gesture by gesture, word by word, each convinced that power will protect them, each blind to the truth. Power does not protect love, it destroys it. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "The true man wants two things, danger and play. For that reason, he wants woman as the most dangerous plaything." And in the power struggle, love becomes dangerous play. They stop seeing each other as partners, they see competitors. Every disagreement becomes a chance to score points. Every compromise feels like defeat. And so, the bond weakens, not because love has vanished, but because power has replaced it. Carl Jung said, "The greatest tragedy of the family is the unlived lives of the parents." And here is the tragedy of these couples. Their lives are not lived in connection, but in competition. They miss the beauty of partnership because they are too busy defending their position, too busy guarding their hearts, too busy trying to win. But in winning, they lose. They lose the softness that makes love feel safe. They lose the trust that allows vulnerability. They lose the joy that comes when two people stand side by side, not face to face in battle. The power struggle is subtle. It hides behind kind words, behind polite smiles, behind gestures that look loving but are calculated. And so they wonder why the relationship feels empty, why every conversation feels like negotiation, why every hug feels incomplete. But they do not see the cause. They see symptoms, but not the root. And the root is this: love has turned into leverage, connection has turned into currency, and in trying to win, they have both lost what matters most: each other. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly." And this is the hidden poison of power struggles in love. Each partner tries to soar higher, to appear stronger, wiser, more in control. But in doing so, they make the other feel small, not intentionally, not cruelly, but inevitably, because where the will to power rules, the will to connect dies. Carl Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." And what irritates them? The stubbornness, the pride, the refusal to yield. But these are not flaws in their partner. They are reflections of the same battle inside themselves. And until they see this, the game continues. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. And in this struggle, fear has won. Fear of being less, fear of losing control, fear of being hurt. So they protect, defend, compete. And in doing so, they lose the very thing they wanted to keep: love. Night after night, they lie beside each other, wondering, why does this feel so hard? But they do not ask aloud, because to ask would be to face the truth, that they have traded partnership for rivalry, and no one wins. So here is the question that could end the struggle if only they dare to ask it. Do you want to be right? Or do you want to be close? Because in love, you cannot have both.